Not an accurate statement at all, to be fair. Because as you say, the biggest effect on your metabolism, and your metabolism, just to be clear, is the rate at which you use fuels and what you do with the fuels. That pretty much is metabolism. The bigger you are, the faster your metabolism. And
Yeah.
people think, no, that's not so. And I think that the misconception comes from the fact that when you see skinny, small people, you say, oh, look at them, they're agile, they're zipping around, they're really fast. And then you look at the big lumbering people lumbering about. But the analogy is right. If you take a small, tiny mini, okay, other cars are available, they zip around and they're really tiny and they must be burning lots of energy versus the big lumbering 4x4s, when that's obviously not true. The bigger the car, the higher their fuel consumption. And that is true for living beings, not even human beings, living beings as well. Now,
Hmm.
okay, however, it is true that if you take someone my size, so I'm 75 kilos, okay, that's my body weight, that there's gonna be someone else who's 75 kilos, okay, that can eat more or less than me in order to maintain that 75 kilos. So undoubtedly, there is going to be individual variation of the speed in which we use and efficiency in which we use our fuels and what we do with it. But it is a lot smaller than people think, and it is not the cause. It is certainly not the driver of the obesity epidemic that we have today. So that, once again, it's going to become a theme. I'm a nuanced human being. I may not behave in a nuanced fashion, but actually, whenever we talk about nutritional science or biology in general, but nutritional science, I think a nuanced approach is often the most accurate approach.
Oh, it is. We're definitely going more towards personalized nutrition, aren't we? Yeah. And I remember seeing something on TV once, and you had like a male and a female, sitting on a sofa next to each other. You feed them the same amount of food, and the guy, he was bigger, more muscly, and he was just burning more calories, doing
Mhm.
absolutely nothing sitting there, purely because he has more muscle mass. So that's obviously a big part of it. And in your book, it talks about, 70%, around about 70% is basal metabolic rate, so how much our body just uses just
Life
from
support.
existing. Yeah, life support, your organs
That's right.
working, keeping your heat, and all those kind of things that we don't have any action over or any responsibility over. They just happen. 20% is physical activity, and 10% thermogenesis, which is how we break down our food, how we absorb it and things. So
And how we
yeah,
generate heat. And how we generate heat.
yeah, how we generate heat. So
Mhm.
really, it's that 20%, isn't it? Is the stuff that we can actually have some influence on, in terms of, if we increase our muscle mass a little bit more, maybe we might do some weight bearing exercise, then that could improve our body weight in terms of increasing the muscle mass, and therefore utilizing calories. So there
Now,
is some scope for manipulating, but maybe not as much as people might think.
that's correct. So 20%, that's right. So 20% of your energy expenditure you have direct control over, and that's what you have, which is not a lot, because 80% you can't do anything about. And this is also, incidentally, a big reason why your food intake is primarily, not solely, but primarily determined. Sorry, let me start this again.
Yeah.
This is why your body weight is primarily a function of how much food you eat, as opposed to the amount of exercise that you do, purely because that we are more efficient. We have been designed as living beings to be more efficient at eating foods and storing foods than we are in burning them. Just to be clear, it doesn't. We're in the middle of the Winter Olympics at the moment. It doesn't mean that if you exercise enough, if okay, I love cycling, as you know, I love cycling. Tour de France cyclists, cycle a 3-week race. They eat 5,000 calories a day, there and abouts, and yet lose weight. Okay, so clearly, if you exercise enough, you can lose weight. The problem is, most of us, the vast majority of us mere mortals, never exercise anywhere close to enough. So this physical activity is important. Of course it is. And on top of that, activity is good for you, independent of whether you lose any weight at all. So exercise. But physical activity and exercise is not a particular useful tool for losing weight.
Yeah, it's not a particularly useful tool. And I think the other thing I've learned, certainly over the last couple of years, is whatever you choose to do for your physical activity, you got to make sure it's something that's good in the medium to long term, that's got longevity. Because what you find is that, you know, once you stop for whatever reason doing that exercise, the weight gain, you know, the fat, etc., you know, does increase. So it's, you know, we're past January now, but there'll be so many people who really went for it in January and signed up for the 7 days a week gym, and then maybe it's not so helpful now that they've kind of maybe slowed down or reduced the number of days that they've exercised. So it's got to be something you enjoy, hasn't it? It's got to be something you can keep doing for a while.
It's got to be. I mean, as with diets, and the same thing is going to be true for exercise or exercise plans. You have to pick something which is sustainable, because if it's not sustainable, you kind of you burn out on it. You do something, and whenever you stop, then whatever benefits that you have will go away. This includes weight coming back on. This is
Yeah.
losing fitness, and so even though you might feel, well, because look, the vast majority of us are not Olympic athletes. You know, we have jobs, we have kids, we do all the things we need to do, and we get ill. We get busted knees. So I think you have to be realistic about our lives, and so therefore pick something slow and steady. And it's a terrible cliche, but it is. You just pick something sustainable that you keep doing, and so doing something a little bit every day is better than doing nothing at all.